So welcome to this exhibition, which is called Atmospheres, after a work by Patrick Schoell, who you see on my right. I thought that was a very appropriate title for greeting the new millennium. I want to very much welcome the artists that have come to join us. Dadara, an artist who will be showing for the first time, and his partner Iris Kaufmann have come specially from Amsterdam. Our fabled artists Lisa Vandy, Sokari Douglas-Camp, and Sylvie Franquet. They've come to join us, to hold us up strong whilst we are struggling with the last pages of our 40th anniversary book, at the same time as we are mounting an exhibition. So in this exhibition, you see many visitors in the form of paintings and sculptures that have been us for a long time, or they have arrived newly. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the works that you see in this room, to give you a feeling about the artist that created them. So let me start with Dadara, who will also say a few words after me, so he can talk much more elaborately about his work than I can. We met him through a friend just a few months ago, after we had been exploring a project at Burning Man for one of our artists, Alexei Peskins, who was fully aware of Burning Man, and Dadara came in with this extraordinary book on his work. I have not yet fully comprehended what he is creating. He's a creator extraordinaire, with visualizations that I have not seen before, and huge projects that he has created in the past in Burning Man. Here on my left you see two of his paintings, which I understand come from his space of mind, and I can fully understand them as an artist, because in the past, I'm also an artist, I've taken my mind and I've just created a space within which I could walk and see all sorts of colors, forms, shapes happening, floating. You have a whole universe there. You don't even need to travel. It's right there in front of you. So he's also worked on an interesting project where he did a CT scan of his heart, and he created a silver heart. And he subsequently watched a 5-hour operation, live heart operation, and created a whole body of work around it. And he recently exhibited this in Amsterdam, but I'm going to let him speak a little later, because there are many more stories to tell, I'm sure. Going on from here is Sokari Douglas-Camp, whose work Primavera we had shown here before in an exhibition called Primavera. It's based on Botticelli, and you see that wonderful lacy dress made out of steel. I think it's magical. The way she throws flowers, the way she moves, the lightness of being with this extraordinarily heavy material. Sokari, has a very, very long career in making really extraordinary sculptures that have been shown in museums worldwide. We had her first solo show here in 1984, and she created a bed for her father with running chickens and chiefs waving their things. So it was really quite a fantastic event. I wasn't here for it, but I heard much about it. And of course I have seen the photographs in the course of producing 40 years of history of October Gallery. I want to go to the artists we have here. So Lisa Vandy, right behind me. Lisa Vandy was an extraordinary success in art. 154, I'm sorry, I've seen so many words today. In art 154 in 2018. Where her first real exhibition in London took place, and she showed these hulls. These are model boats that she animates with fishing floats and with different objects that create a kind of protection. Much of that work is inspired from visits to the British Museum, where Lisa went to visit the Nikizi power figures, the very powerful Congolese figures that pierced through with shards of metal. So there's a great power in her work, but it also, as beamboats, it also refers to transportation. Lisa had a huge sculpture in Free Sculpture Park this last autumn, which was wonderful to see in the context that she's currently creating another even larger and even wild sculpture. I am not going to tell you exactly what it looks like, but whilst I'm talking to you, I see it in my mind spinning above the seas in Britain. So that's what Lisa is doing at the moment. Sylvie Franquet here, her work in the other room, you have to go and visit. It's right next to the bar, and it's called Fallen Woman. It's a beautiful work. Sylvie takes old tapestry and stitches words and proverbs, different thoughts into them. She subverts the figures, and she creates her own universe out of them. And I think her works are very, very inspiring, and they always make me laugh, but they also, it's one of these things, they create thoughts in me. Somebody said, as soon as you've made a thought, laugh at it. She connects different elements, and they make you think, laugh, and realize new realities. So she had a big show at the Harley Gallery recently, and we're hoping to do another show of hers in the next couple of years. So that will be a wonderful occasion. But I will not leave out the artists who are not here. I'm just going to touch upon them very briefly. This is Patrick Joel, who I met in Paris 1.5 years ago. And I really connected to his work. He works with Sen, he comes from Cameroon. He had a very powerful, ethereal work that inspired me. And I immediately went to him and said, "Who are you?" Because you're bringing these intense spirituals idea onto this stage in Paris. And we later connected again a year later, and he said, "Oh, I'm so glad that we met because you actually understand my work." And then we had this first showing of his work here, and hopefully we'll explore that and make that bigger and show more of his very, very large canvases that he makes. So just around the room you see James Barner, a Ghanaian photographer who became fat-fatted in his 80s. He said he was unknown, and suddenly the whole world turned around to his work of art, his photography. And he said to me, "Elizabeth, I just wish this had happened a little bit earlier, when my hand was still steady, when I was still able to take photographs." Behind it, next to it, is a book sculpture by Chuki Kwon, and she very finely cuts paper. She is a martial art expert, and in that same style, she takes individual books and she cuts them up. This is just one book that she cuts up in one go along the lines of the works. And then you see so she makes installation out of that. This is one of her smallest ones. She does huge ones. We had 13-meter high installations in Abu Dhabi, where she cut up the Encyclopedia Britannica. And they were just wonderful. Behind you see probably our most well-known artist, Ella Natry, with the work Time Space. I think his work is also very spiritual, but it is also very much about connectivity, about connection. On his last exhibition in the Haus der Kunst, which was a huge survey of his work, he filled this entire enormous building with wonderful, shining works of art. And many of them were made in Nsukka, in southeastern Nigeria, in his studio, but together with the whole community. So because the works were so large, I don't know how much they measured, maybe 15 meters high, 20 meters wide, one was called The Rising Sea, all in silver. People had to go out and they made pieces that were later connected together. So for him it's very important that everybody is engaged in that work of art, and that when the work of art comes here, the people hanging can make their own work of art out of what they receive. So when the work lies on the floor, it's not alive, but when you raise it, it's alive. And the way it lives is determined by the people who hang it. Golnaz Fatih, behind you, an artist from Iran, she was trained to the highest level of calligraphy, and then she decided to go free form. And she had a whole meeting by officials that talked to her. You have to make up your mind, are you going to stay within calligraphy or are you going to go and paint? And after 6 months she came back and says, I'm going to paint. And she does these beautiful calligraphic abstractions. This is a smaller work. Tucked in the corner, last but not least, is William Burroughs, the writer of Naked Lunch. He held his first solo exhibition here in London in 1988, and we will be taking him to Frieze, New York in a solo booth this year. So there'll be a whole new revival of his artwork this year in New York. In front of him is Sherrod Wainam, who creates these totemic sculptures out of pieces of wood. He comes from Benin. He collects, and I think have an extraordinary power in them. And there's Rashid Qureshi behind you with his paintings, his vase. He creates these big porcelain vases in Barcelona, where he works in a workshop. He's somebody who works all around the world. He works all through North Africa. He's from Algeria. He works all through North Africa to keep the original trades and crafts alive there. He works in Europe. He travels the world ceaselessly to show his work, to collaborate with others, and to make his ideas known. He is a true artist of, I would say he has extraordinary stamina. You will never forget once you've spoken to him, once you've talked to him about his projects, and once he's kind of enveloped you in his world. We call it he Rashidifies you. He's a Sufi, so he works with the number 7, so everything he makes is multiplied by 7. So you have 99 banners, you have 7 sculptures, you have 7 vases, etc. So he's hugely creative. He's in his 70s now, but he does extraordinary work. Romuald Hazoumeh behind, artist from Benin who we've worked with for a very long time. This work was made in Kyoto. We walked out of the plane in Kyoto and walked to a scrapyard and picked up that canister and some wire. And a little bit later, it turned into that mask, and it received the names written backwards of the organizer of the Biennale. So that's the name of the work. So he's always very tongue-in-cheek. I'm not going to go into all the works in the other room. I think you can go there and fill yourself with the power of the works in there. But I want to welcome you to this exhibition, and I want to pass on to Barbara, who is going to talk to us now.
To be honest, until like 5 minutes ago, I didn't know I was going to talk here. As mentioned, I just had the opening of my show in Amsterdam, which was all about my own heart. It was inspired by the cardiologist who was involved in the heart operation of my parents. I got my own heart scanned. I witnessed a heart operation. I gave a talk of half an hour, and I thought this would be a vacation trip, and I didn't have to talk here, but as they say, shit happens. Is the microphone working? Burning Man was mentioned. For almost 20 years I have done a number of big projects there. The last project I did, and probably my last one I will ever do there, it felt like a full circle. I went blindfolded to Burning Man, and all week I stayed inside a big black box. I didn't see the daylight, I only saw artificial light, but people could visit me and tell me how every object looked outside, and I painted everything. I created a kind of virtual Burning Man inside, based on what I saw the world through the eyes of other people. And what's interesting is, as they say, we don't see things as they are, but as we are. And I guess that's what artists do. We kind of see things that are there, but maybe are not visible for other people, and that's what we can show. And so this is these two paintings are how my world looks like. That's what I see. What's also special about this one, that the one on the right, I have a really big studio in Amsterdam, and my house is next to my studio. And in my house, I don't have my own artwork. My whole studio is filled with my artwork, but I had two paintings hanging there for 8 years, and I still have one because this one on the right has been hanging for 8 years in my living room, and I think October Gallery convinced me to bring it here. Yeah, that's. I don't know. Is there anything more I should say? I think for being on vacation, this speech is long enough.
I want to especially welcome Govinda Saw, who has just arrived. Govinda is one of our great artists. Govinda takes on the task of painting the cosmos in all of its glory, in all of its levels, and you can see so many things in depth in it. His painting is on the other side of this wall. Yes, our book is called Dream No Small Dream. Well, we thought in the beginning we would make a publication to celebrate our 40 years. You know, a small publication like this. But then we really got into the title, Dream No Small Dreams. And the publication is going to look more like this. It is now how many pages, Johnny?
304.
304. And ladies and gentlemen,
Bigger.
it will give you the history of the gallery. It will give you the people who started the gallery, created the gallery, and worked all along to make it what it is today. It has wonderful critical analysis in it. It has beautiful plates of all the artists we represent. It has stories about the people who've been associated with the gallery for all these years. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, it's only £30. Yes. We're launching this book, and I invite you all here tonight to come on the 26th of February. This is not the book.